everyone, I'm Virginia.
And I'm Barbara.
Welcome to this week's MindSET, the weekly live stream to get the tools and knowledge for your mental health.
We're also joined by our resident mindset therapist, Darryl. Say hi, Darryl.
Hi, everyone. Hi.
MindSET is put together by a collection of therapists, staff at Body and Soul, and people with lived experience of mental health. We want you to have all the tools because we know what works, and so we want to share that with you. So today's practical session, which we call our tool of the week, continues to look at other ways for us to keep our minds in the present to help us avoid stressing out about the past or the future. And Virginia will be live scribing to illustrate what Darryl says. So back over to you, Darryl.
The skill that I wanted to talk to you today is called the describing skill. And the describing skill is really useful for people that second guess. So people that are always second guessing what they're doing or second guessing what other people's intentions are, or people with problems with interpretation. And when I mean problems with interpretations is that you might have a particular thinking style. So you might notice that you think very much all or nothing. Yeah, or you think very much in black and white, right or wrong, good or bad, that, maybe that you catastrophize, you make mountains out of molehills. Yeah, so people with very rigid thinking styles. So this is really useful. This is really useful for those people. Describing is about putting words on an experience. We label things, yeah. So if I label a thought as a thought, yeah, it allows me to separate a thought from a fact, yeah. So I might think, that today I look amazing, but I could walk into the office and someone say, "Oh my God, you've got like huge bags under your eyes. You look pale in the face." So we might do this. We might do this with a thought. We might do it with an emotion. And what describing does is it allows us to unglue ourselves from interpretations and opinions. Yeah. And people that get highly dysregulated, what they do is they mix up interpretations, emotions, and thoughts, and they treat them somewhat as facts. So when we're describing, what we're looking for is the who, the what, the when, and the where. So if I was to show you a shiny, an apple I just bought an apple from the shop. It had a bright skin. It had been picked 3 days earlier, and someone else had or there was an apple in my bowl that had been sitting there for 6 months. Someone who maybe have a rigid thinking style will think, one of those apples is good and one of those apples is bad. But good and bad is subjective, isn't it? So that apple might be good to eat, but that apple is not going to be really useful in a compost. Yeah, if I wanted to make a compost that's going to help me grow flowers in my garden, that's not the kind of apple that I would want, because I'd have to leave that apple in there for months and months. So people that are sort of obsessed with thinking that there's a right way to do something. So your partner sends you a text and says, "I know we were supposed to meet up and go for a walk later on, but I can't make it." And what you do is you start to think, well, you can't make it because they don't like me. They can't make it because they don't like me anymore. They can't make it because they're sick and tired of me. Yeah, so that's like putting an interpretation on something.
So then, how would you do the describing thing with that one?
Yeah, well, the fact might be, yeah. So the person might text you a message saying, "Look, can we skip it today? I don't feel very well." Yeah. And then you would start to add to it. You would start to add to it your own beliefs, your own interpretations and opinions onto it. Yeah. As opposed to taking that person at their word. Yeah.
But then the describe thing, if you describe what happened to somebody else, what are you trying to say there? Then that's just like the description would be, "Oh, so and so sent me a text saying blah blah blah."
Yeah. So the describe would be just the facts. I got a text saying that my boyfriend or my girlfriend, my friend can't make it today.
Right.
That would be the facts, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And you see, once you add to that fact, what you're doing is you're distorting reality. Yeah, because you can't really know it. So you're distorting reality, and once we distort reality, then we lose the context. And if we were to take the fact, so if you then take the fact that your partner's not going to make it, and you make loads of assumptions on that, you start to act on those assumptions. So you think, so your partner says they can't make it, you think they don't like you anymore, so you start sending them loads and loads of messages saying, what have I done wrong? Why don't you like me anymore? And actually that person's then thinking, what? They're thinking, what? They're thinking, well, I'm not, this has got nothing to do with it. And then of course that affects what they think about you on top of it. So you just keep making the situation worse and worse. So the idea would be that if you can't observe something through your senses, then you can't describe it. If it's not open to touch, taste, feel, or if you can't, then you can't describe it. Yeah. So what you do is you go on the information that you have instead of adding to it. So there's been lots of studies around the benefits of describing. And there were studies years ago where they used what they did is they took two groups of people, and they showed both groups of people very distressing images, animals being hurt, children being hurt, very sort of very difficult to watch stuff. And they wired both of these groups, they wired them up to brain scans. And one group, what they did is they took one group and they taught them how to describe just the facts. Yeah, just what so they're describing facts externally, and they got them to describe internally. So when I saw that bit of the video, my eyes closed and I looked away. When I saw that bit of the video, I noticed that my heart went faster. When I looked at that, I noticed that I got angry. They just got them to describe the who, what, where, when, and what happened. And what they saw in these brain scans is that people who had been taught how to describe, were able to manage and regulate not only their thoughts and their emotions and their actions. They were able to regulate them by about 19% more. So they were 19% less distressed because they were just able to stick with the facts. Now that might not seem a lot, or it might seem a lot, it depends, right? But when you look at what happens to dysregulated people, or people that become emotionally overwhelmed, usually if you were to rate it out of 100, people that are emotionally overwhelmed are up at about 90. And at 90 out of 100, most people have lost control or are very, very close to losing control. But if you took that 90% there and you took the 19 off it, what you would be talking about, and my maths isn't great, but I think what you're talking about is 71. And at 71, we have much, much greater ability to control our emotions and to control our actions. And that's why it's important for people that are suffering with what they call emotional dysregulation. So really what describing does, is it's really effective for shaping particular parts of the brain, and particularly the threat system. And so when we're describing stuff, and this is why you see it on the brain scans. So what you see when people describe is that their amygdala becomes less activated, and this is what brings us down, because a lot of people that are dysregulated, they see threat or they see fear in lots of situations where it's not there. So some of you be walking around the streets thinking that someone's going to hurt you. Well, look around, right? If you look around and you can see no one around you that's going to hurt you, that helps your brain take in information in a different way.
How can you make sure that your describing isn't judgmental?
Okay, well, because it has to be open to one of your senses. So if I was to describe those two apples, I would say, you know, I can see the apple, can't I? I can smell it, I can touch it, I can taste it. So the way that we make sure it's factual is that way. So this apple is, you know, the apple is reflecting the light. The skin on the apple isn't broken and it's shiny. When I smell it, I can smell, you know, I can smell the liquid in it. When I bite into it, it tastes sweet or sour. Yeah. Whereas if you weren't describing it, you might pick up an apple and you might say, that's a lovely apple. Yeah.
Okay. So then Camelia says, how soon would you use this method after being triggered? For example, I got an email that overwhelmed me. So should I do this method straight away or when?
Yeah, straight away. Yeah, describe it. So what happened is I got an email and there was information in it that I didn't like. The describing skills just used straight away. So instead of getting caught up in thinking, well, that what that person's saying is right or anything like that, or you know, you just say, well, I've got an email and this was someone else's opinion of me, or, you know, move it away from facts. There was a question that popped up that I missed.
Yeah. It's, how can you stop blaming yourself if your description is terrible?
Well, blaming yourself is the problem. If you describe the facts, right? So, you know, if I have a glass of milk on the table and I spill it, yeah, I would be like, I've spilled a glass of milk. You know, because I knocked it off the table. That's a fact, isn't it?
Yeah. Rather than say I'm clumsy or I'm, yeah.
Blaming yourself would be evaluating that action. You know, I've knocked a glass off the milk because I'm an idiot, or I've knocked a glass of milk off the table because I'm always clumsy. Yeah. They are not facts. So what you do is you describe what you did, nothing else. Because all that happened was the glass got knocked off the table. The rest of it is just an opinion. It's just your thought about yourself. So don't add to it, because that's the distortion of reality, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, I know doctors that knock a glass of milk off the table. If they said they're stupid, well, subjectively they wouldn't be, would they? Because, you know, doctors need a certain level of academia to be able to study. So it doesn't. Yeah. So that's the describe skill. And the other skill that we're going to talk about is that what mindfulness talks about is participation. Yeah. Participation in your life. Yeah. And what participation is throwing yourself completely into the activity of the current moment. Yeah. So instead of spacing out and separating yourself from going on, it's jumping in with all that you have. Yeah. So you're trying to sort of kind of become one with whatever you're doing. Yeah. It's a chance to forget ourselves. So people that love to dance, people that play a musical instrument, people that play sport, there are certain activities that we do that, and dancing is a good example, I think. There's certain things that we do that help us to stop evaluating, that help us to not exclude stuff and actually move us away from negative thoughts. So I know, for example, Barbara, that you sing, right?
Yeah.
So when you're singing in the moment, what's that like? What's that like for you? When you throw yourself completely into it?
Yeah, it's like heaven. I mean, it's like I'm nowhere else. I'm just there singing and it's, yeah, it's like the best feeling ever. It just feels, I don't know how to say it. It feels like 100% present, I guess. I mean, if I said one with the universe, people might have reactions to that, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But that's the only way I can think of to describe it. It's like fully present is another way to describe it.
So, okay. So what do you think it would be like to feel like that all the time?
That would be a dream.
Well, you see, when you think about mindfulness in that, the idea is that you can, and it doesn't actually matter what you do. It's about how you participate in it. So, you know, I use the example of dancing or playing an instrument or something, but you can also do this in situations that you find very difficult. You know, you could, you know, think about, you know, I want people to think about times that they've ever been invited to parties and they didn't want to go. you know, and they were dreading the party. You know, if you go to that party and you stand there with your back against the wall, you drop your head, you look at your shoes, and you don't talk to anyone, what happens?
It's awful. It's horrific. It's not a nice experience.
Okay, so think about a time that you were invited to a party and you didn't want to go, but you did, right? You went, and what you did is you walked in and you jumped into it. You had your head up, you approached people, you spoke to people, even though you were uncomfortable, you spoke to people, you participated in what was going on. Yeah. What has that done? I think most people would have an experience like that, where they didn't want to do something and they jumped in. Or, you know, I know that I'm doing it if I have to clean the oven out at home, or sometimes you have to, you know, scrub the bath and things like that. I don't really like doing those things, but what I do is I just jump into it.
We have some examples for you, Darryl, the MindSET crew, so you can tell us if we're on the right track. So, for example, people can relate to this. Here's a Zoom meeting. You can tell the heightened participation of everybody versus this.
Not wanting to clean.
Yeah.
And then very enthusiastic about cleaning, even though it sucks.
Oh, not wanting to.
YMCA.
Yeah, not wanting to be the A.
This is more like YMC nay.
Yeah.
And then YMCA.
Yay! Oh yeah, me like
in the conversation.
But looking at my nails instead.
Actually having a good time.
Yeah, having fun. Yeah.
So look, there's I wanted to mention this app called Power Flower for people. And what this app does is it encourages people to participate. It encourages people to participate in the world. It's a free app that they can download, and it's got lots of skills. It's got lots of different skills in it, lots of little challenges and skills for people. It's like a wellness Tamagotchi. So the concept behind it is that as you go through and practice these skills, it allows you to grow your own personal well-being flower. So it sets you a task each day, and you do the task, and it sort of demonstrates what happens as you keep participating. So what we notice is that people are a lot less negative about themselves when they're connected to others. So the participation skill is about your purpose. It's about jumping in to the task that you've got, whatever it is, giving it all that you have. So notice what you think about it before you do it. Oh, I can't be bothered. And then what happens after you do it. Yeah. So most people feel much better after they participate. And what we notice is that you see, what overwhelms people often is the thoughts about doing something, the feelings about doing something. Yeah, rather than doing it itself. And if you're dysregulated, you probably notice that this happens again and again. There you go. That's the holistic well-being game.
Yeah. What I notice is that whatever I'm trying to do this game where like whatever I'm doing, I try to make it like as if it were the most interesting thing ever. So like washing the dishes or, you know, something like that.
Dysregulated people's brain scan moves like this. And when they participate, it moves more like this. Yeah.
What are some quick things that you can tell people to practice this week? What can they focus on?
You know what? So the ideas. So I'll give you some ideas for practicing. You know, you can focus your attention on, like, say you're sitting in a chair. You can just notice like all the different areas of contact between the chair. You can sing along. You can sing in the shower. You can jump out of bed and dance or sing before you get dressed. You can do it listening wise. You can just, you know, what you can do is just tune in to what someone's saying and just listen to each word. Yeah. You can do it with your breathing. You can go for a sport, loads of stuff. And you can also, as you can with describing, you can just notice describing. So you can describe what a person's doing. You can describe a person's face. You can describe an object. You just describe the facts of it. Just practice doing that. One of the sort of classic ways of looking at describing is that, you know, when we were all allowed to go to clubs and stuff, when you see two people about to get into a fight, what you see with two people about to get into a fight is you see them describing, you know, don't push me, bro. What are you pushing me? Don't say stuff like that. You're really annoying me now. Yeah. What people do in intense situations like that is they start describing. And when you see describing, what they're trying to do is they're trying to give each other information. Yeah. And think about this. When you see two people describing to each other, yeah, how often do you see two people squaring up to each other and you think, yeah, that's never going to go into it. That's never going to turn into a fight. Yeah. And it never turns into a fight, or it never gets worse because they describe. Yeah. When you see people fight outside of clubs and stuff, they tend to just go for it. There's very little describing what happens. So the catastrophe doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And that's what describing does. It helps us avoid those overwhelming moments.
Yeah, so there's just one last question. Is it like using beginner's mind, like not having any judgments and just going into it like it's the first time?
Oh, I wish that person had just put that up in the first place, because I could have just said that. Yes, that's exactly. Yeah, I don't know why I took 2,000 words to describe what that person just put into. Yeah, it's like having a beginner's or a baby's mind. Just
Yeah,
about,
like little kids, right? Approaching life like a child.
yeah.
That might be a good point to end on, unless you have anything else you want to say, Darryl?
No, that's all good for me.
Right, fabulous. So thank you very much, Darryl. So everyone at home, you've got some stuff, several ideas to practice this week. Yeah, we have learned that to get the most benefits from these tools, it does take practice, but as we say, you don't have to. But if you do, you will see the benefits.
So don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Share the Mindset. And remember, you are not alone. We are a community. So if you have any problems, if we have any problems, we'll try to help each other out.
Yeah, we'll email you.
We'll
You can email us any burning questions. Yeah, at mindset@bodyandsoulcharity.org.
I wanted to mention this again, that MindSET is not designed for crisis support. So if you cannot keep yourself safe or you have trouble, please go to your nearest A&E department or reach out to the Samaritans at 116-123.
Yeah, or use the health service or the NHS if you're at university, wherever you may be, if you already have the existing support in place. So in the meantime, keep working on your mindset.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.